As we're troubleshooting our Cisco Catalyst switch infrastructure, it's really useful to be able to see what layer 2 adjacencies exist off of this switch. In other words, what Cisco devices are directly connected to which of my switch ports. Maybe it's a router, maybe it's a Cisco IP phone, maybe it's a Cisco switch, maybe it's some sort of a Cisco server. If we have a device connected to a switch port that is running CDP, the Cisco Discovery Protocol, we can get some information about that directly attached device. Let's take a look at a few commands. We could do a show CDP to see the basic CDP operational parameters. We see that we're sending information about ourselves every 60 seconds, and after we receive information about a layer 2 adjacent device, we're going to keep that for 3 minutes. If we don't hear from them again, if we do, then that timer is going to be reset. And let me expound on that concept of layer 2 adjacent just a bit. When I say that a device is layer 2 adjacent, I'm saying that we don't need any layer 3 information. That attached device does not have to have an IP address. That is a huge concept. No IP address needed for this communication. It happens just at layer 2, and it only happens between devices, directly attached devices, that are speaking CDP. And today we probably want to be running CDP version 2. You see that we're sending CDP version 2 advertisements. That's important for things such as, well, Cisco IP telephony. If we connect a Cisco IP phone to our Cisco Catalyst switch, one of the things that the switch can tell the phone is to what VLAN that phone belongs. But in order for that to work, we have to be running CDP version 2. Let's take a look at our directly attached neighbors on this switch. What are our Cisco Layer 2 adjacencies? Let's do a show CDP neighbors command. It looks like I've got another switch named SW1. I probably need to change the name of that, but to get to that other switch, I'm leaving this switch on Fast Ethernet 1/0/1. To get to the switch we've been dealing with, SW2, my egress interface is Fast Ethernet 1/0/2, and we can even see the port on the remote switch. The ingress port on SW2 is, as we've seen previously, gigabit 0/10. The S tells me that that neighboring device is a switch. It also supports a multicast protocol, IGMP, Internet Group Management Protocol, that's used for multicast traffic. If we want more information about a specific device, we could do this. I could say show CDP neighbors, and I could give the keyword of detail. CDP neighbors detail. Let's do that. And it's going to give me detailed information about my neighboring switches. Let's take a look at SW2. Now I can see, even though it doesn't have to have a layer 3 address, I can see what layer 3 address is assigned to SW2. I can see information such as what version of Cisco iOS is running on that neighboring switch. I can see what its native VLAN is. I can even see VTP information. I can see it's in the CCNA VTP management domain. This gives me a much deeper level of visibility into my neighbors. And for that reason, you might want to turn this off on ports that are connecting to a different autonomous system, a network under someone else's administrative control. I remember one time when I was working at a local university, our internet service provider had not turned off CDP on their router, and I was able to get quite a bit of information about that router. They probably wouldn't want that information to be known, so we might want to turn it off, and I'll show you how to turn it off on an interface by interface basis if we want to do that. Let's take a look at the configuration. If we go into global configuration mode, if we want to turn off CDP globally on the switch, we could say no CDP run, and that's going to turn it off globally. Or if it is turned off, we could just say CDP run to turn it back on. That turns it on globally for the switch. We talked about version 2. If we did not want to run version 2, if we wanted to run version 1 for whatever reason, we would need to do a no CDP advertise -v2. That would make us be running in version 1 mode. Probably not a good idea unless you have a very specific need to do that. We've now seen how to enable or disable CDP globally, but what about on an interface by interface basis? Maybe we want to use CDP for most of the ports, but that one port that connects off to this other department, we don't want them to know about us. How do we turn it off for a specific interface, or turn it on for a specific interface? Well, let's go into interface Fast Ethernet 1/0/2, and we can say no CDP enable, and that will turn off CDP for that specific interface. Even though it's globally turned on for the switch, it's on my other interfaces. This is how we could turn off CDP for a specific interface. And by using CDP, think about what you could do. If you have access to all the switches in your topology, you could do a show CDP neighbor, learn about your neighbors, then visit those neighbors, do a show CDP neighbors command on those switches, and just start mapping out your topology. That can work for a smaller network. It doesn't scale very well. When I first went to work for Disney World, I remember my first week on the job, I thought, well, I know about CDP. I'll just map out Disney World's network. That didn't work out so well because it turned out that they had hundreds of routers and thousands of Cisco Catalyst switches. CDP was not a great tool for mapping out a large network like that, but if you've got a handful of Cisco devices, it can be a great tool in mapping out your topology.